She joined with Pat and another woman, Rowena Gurner, to speak out about the laws. Working out of a tiny San Francisco apartment, they launched their fledgling organization, the Society for Humane Abortion. "1963 was a year when new dreams were born and others died. But the vision of a more humane America continued and inspired social action across the country. Pastor James Lawson, a colleague of Martin Luther King, recalls those times.
One of the mistaken notions about the 60s, I think, is the notion that we were primarily a civil rights movement. The better term for what we talked about and said would have been human rights, because we talked all the time about dignity and freedom and justice.
In the early 1960s, people began to examine the morality of many issues, including abortion. Between 1963 and 1965, an epidemic of German measles accounted for a significant rise in serious birth defects. This situation led to a greater public acceptance for abortions. But the most compelling motivation for someone to act was still a personal experience.
I had seen someone die in the military, the wife of a pilot that I was very close to. He'd come back home after World War II, only to have, within the first year of his return, his wife die as a result of a botched abortion. This background demanded that I take some action when I had the opportunity.
In spring of 1965, despite opposition in his district, Sutton introduced the first proposal for abortion reform in the state of New York.
A number of ministers who supported me on all other things opposed me on the issue of abortion reform. As a matter of fact, there were some who threatened me that they would work against my next election if I pursued the issue of abortion. That's just reform.
The bill was defeated, but early legislative efforts encouraged others around the country to speak out. In Minnesota, a respected gynecologist was appalled by the number of women she saw admitted to the hospital following botched abortions.